Well, the 2025 NBA trade deadline is now in the books. And here at Prime Sports World, we're going to be giving you our rapid reaction of some winners, some losers, and all the stuff going on with the NBA trade deadline. Of course, please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast if you like what we're doing here at Prime Sports World. I'm David Huffman, CEO Israel Rivera, my co-host, Mr. T.J. Hopkins. Welcome to the show, gentlemen. Happy Thursday. Happy trade deadline day. This is one of my favorite days of the entire year. And on most years, I take the day off from work, but I couldn't this year. So I had to rely on you guys to kind of give me the information as it was happening. I very much appreciate that while I was at the office. And we very appreciate the 23 people that are watching us right now. I love that number, man. Let's go, baby. Gentlemen, welcome into the show. Yeah, welcome into the show.
35 and count, baby. Let's go. Let's get that number up.
TJ, how's it going, man?
Flying it by pigeon over there in the Philippines.
Another day, another dollar.
They are getting it around there in East Asia right now.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So
53 and counting, baby.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Let's get. Hey, I'm already streaming something on the Huddle Sports Network. You can't do that right now. Well, this will be on the live on the Huddle tomorrow. Let's move on let's talk about the NBA trade deadline. Let's start. We had a couple of minor deals since we did our show yesterday. We had the Brandon Ingram trade. What are your thoughts on that trade? And any other trades that happened today that you kind of think we need to touch on before we get into winners and losers?
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense on the Toronto front. What's the plan here? What are we doing? What's the?
It's like almost if nobody told the Toronto Raptors that they're the 13 seed in the Eastern Conference right now. They're 6 games out of the 10 seed, and Brandon Ingram's on an expiring contract. You're not making the playoffs this season, and you trade for a guy and you give up some decent assets, a first-round pick. That's the only thing you really care about, I guess, right now. It is the Indiana's first-round pick next year, but it just doesn't make a lot of sense why you would trade for BI. Not to mention you have 2 wings on your roster that are basically like the same player, RJ Barrett and Scotty Barnes. Yeah, so I just don't. That trade makes 0 sense to me.
0 sense. And Izzy's posing the question in the group chat, how does that fit? Which is a great question because Scotty Barnes, he has the ball in his hands. RJ Barrett has the ball in his hands. B.I. needs the ball in his hands. So it's definitely one of those things where it's I got to see it first. Before.
I guess you're banking on, if you're Toronto. You didn't really trade anything super valuable to get Brandon Ingram, so you're just kind of hoping that he wants to stay there. Because you did give up the Indiana Pacers pick from next season, 2026. You're just hoping that, hey, Brandon Ingram likes it so much in Toronto, even if you don't do a lot of winning, that he's willing to re-sign there. It's worth a dice roll, I guess.
It's not.
But any of these other trades that you guys think are worthy of just isolating and talking about as a whole?
Yeah, the DeAndre Hunter trade to the Cavs. I said that yesterday.
That's fun. That's a head scratcher in a way.
I love that trade. For the Cavs,
not for the Cavs. For Atlanta. DeAndre Hunter's a solid ass player, but I get it because you got Zach Richard-Sher, you still got Jalen Johnson there as well, and so it's just DeAndre Hunter I mean, you got some good value. You got Georges Niang. You got guys that are actually that are gonna come off are willing to come off the bench. Like Bogey wanted more minutes. He was kind of getting a little, antsy. I wouldn't say antsy, but he was getting a little disgruntled down there in Atlanta because Zach Richarchet was
I
taking
mean,
minutes.
Karis LeVert's an expiring contract, probably not going to be out of your team past this season.
Right.
George Niang he's got one more year, but he's got a pretty decent calorie number. I mean, cap number 82, $8.2 million. So it's really not a bad deal for the
Cavs. The Cavs got a heck of a player.
I think it's a great deal for the Cavaliers. I think it's a really nice piece to put alongside your two guards. He's a defensive wing. I mean, it's
3-and-D guy.
It's like as good a fit as we can have. Like he's like a better version of Karis LeVert.
Okay, Memphis, Washington, that whole ordeal. They traded a 2025 first-round pick along with Marcus Smart, Kobe Jones, and Alex Len to the Wizards for Marvin Bagley, Johnny Davis, a 2028 second-round pick, and a future 2 second-round picks.
Well, that's a straight-up salary dump. They wanted to get out of I don't know which apron they're in, but that's a straight up salary dump. They're like, hey, like we're gonna I don't know what Marcus Smart's been doing this season because I haven't really looked at his numbers.
He's been hurt,
not playing.
Well, then, so it's a salary dump. So you get a little bit of cap flexibility because they're going to have to pay some of the guys on their roster moving forward. So that's what it is. It's a salary dump. And if you're the Wizards.
The Nurkic trade, like if you're Phoenix, what are you doing?
Right, because you getting smaller and smaller. I mean, I know, they did get that one center. They did get that one kid.
Yusuf Nurkic hasn't played in like over a month.
Yeah. No, they got
they moved him to the bench.
They got Nick Richards. They got Nick Richards on the center. Yeah. So that's why he was pretty much expendable there. But I like the two guys that they got back. I mean, one guy I like, Vasily Micic. He's he was the Serbian teammate of Bogdanovic and obviously Nikola Jokic, and he started for that Serbian team. He's a solid point guard. He's a solid guy, a backup point guard, a legit backup point guard. Somebody that's going to come off the second unit with Grayson Allen and Bradley Beal and actually just kind of pivot and
keep things afloat.
Yeah, keep things afloat while you get rest with Devin Booker and those guys. So, and Tyus Jones and those guys.
So let's talk about winners. Who do you guys got as the winners from the NBA trade deadline now that it is completely in the books? As we talked a little bit about this yesterday.
Like Rob Pelinka did some work. Like you get Luka, but you don't stop there. You go get the one thing. It's fun. It's hilarious. Like AD say we need a big, and then you trade him away, and then you actually trade for a serviceable big in Mark Williams, who. I just hope we kind of see this a lot with players that go from horrible teams when they get to like quote unquote winning teams. So like Mark Williams is not getting a lot of eyes on him in Charlotte. So it's outside of the Hornets. A lot of people don't know his game. Dude can easily give you he gonna average 14 and 10 just off hustle points and lobs. Playing with Luka Doncic,
7'2", legit 7-footer.
He's big, legit 7-footer. He has a longer standing reach than Wemby by 2 inches. He has longer.
The Luka Doncic trade, I think, is obviously that makes them win. I'm not
the biggest winner.
They gave up basically 2 first-round picks for Mark Williams. I'm not totally sold he's worth that. I think if I personally, I mean, obviously it's easy to talk about this in hindsight, right? Like we don't know exactly what trades were on their table. I think they could have gotten like Robert Williams III out of Portland for like half this price. This seems like a lot to pay for Mark Williams.
The thing with Robert Williams III, though, Dave, is that he's always on the shelf because he's injured.
I know, but Mark Williams hasn't been the pinnacle of health either. I mean,
I would have looked. I mean, what was Toronto? Toronto was like, kind of trying to look for trouble. Like, I wonder what they were looking for like Jakopoto as well. I don't think like a guy like Jakopoto.
And there's no doubt that Mark Williams is an upgrade, and it fills a major need that the Lakers had. I'm just not comfortable trading basically 2 first-round picks for him because Dalton Connect is basically a first-round pick, and you traded the 2031 first-round pick. Your entire war chest is now depleted. So if this doesn't work, there's no other. There's nothing else you can do.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So
but at the same time, like the Lakers knew that from Jump Street. Like, bro, like the trade, the picks they've been trying to offload for the longest. One was a 2029 pick. That's 4 years out, and the other is 2031. That's what 6 years out, 6, 7, like. So it ain't like we ain't finna sit here and act like the Lakers had a treasure trove of
I know
to begin with.
Yes, I'm aware. That feels rich to me. That's my honest opinion on it. It feels rich.
I think the other one has got to be the Spurs. Sorry about that, David. I don't know.
No, you're good. I was gonna mention the Spurs. So yeah, go for it.
Go ahead. I didn't know if I was stealing your thunder there. But yeah, it's got to be the Spurs with De'Aaron Fox and pairing them up with Wemby.
I just got a bone to pick with the so-called #1 sports show for the last 14 years. Y'all know who I'm talking about. Like they stay talking about this April will make 14 years since we've been the #1 sports show. Y'all spent 3 days talking about the same goddamn trade. What #1 sports show does that? One of the best young players this game has ever seen got one of the best point guards this game has ever seen, and y'all ain't do a quick take on it.
Yeah, y'all. I mean, we here at Prime Sports World talked about it minutes after it happened.
Minutes after it happened, and y'all spent 3 days talking about Luka going to the Lakers.
But I also think it's more than just what they got. Like I think it's De'Aaron Fox. Like they didn't have to give up their major, they're like the major stuff that they have in their war chest. Like they could still make a trade this offseason to improve this roster. Like this is like it was a slam dunk trade deadline for the San Antonio Spurs. There's no other way. And then you get Patrick Baldwin Jr. It's kind of a throwaway. I mean, he was the #1 player, the #1 recruit in high school, right?
In the nation, yep.
Yeah, I mean, I know his college career didn't really work out all that well, and his pro career.
He went to UW Milwaukee.
Yeah.
So he wasn't gonna play for his dad. Yeah.
And like his NBA career hasn't really panned out the way people thought it would, but he just still has talent, man. I like he's got a lot of talent there, and if you could, like, if Greg Popovich can get it out of him, if there's anybody else that could, it'd be Greg Popovich. I also have the Miami Heat as a winner for me. I mean, you just get out of the Jimmy Butler business. You add Andrew Wiggins, who seems like a good locker room guy. You add some other players on that roster like that are good for the culture there in Miami, and you just get out of the Jimmy Butler business. I think that's a huge win.
Huge win for them. Get rid of that damn headache and let Golden State deal with that headache. Can you imagine the first time practice where Draymond Green and Jimmy Butler bump heads?
It's one or two ways. Like you can look at the Miami Heat as a winner. You can also look at them as a loser because like now it's like you're rewarding petulance. Like it sends the message to a player. Like a player can like see that and be like, oh, if I just act the damn fool long enough, they'll just get rid of me. They will honor. They'll give me what I'm asking for.
Joe Burrow wants to come back player of the year.
Yeah, I mean that's all I got in the way of winners. Anybody got anybody else?
Not really. I'm more bigger on the losers. We already.
I got a plethora of losers. I talked about this yesterday. The Sacramento Kings are a huge loser. I don't understand like how you don't get like legitimate value for De'Aaron Fox. You don't even get your own pick swap back that they must have forgot that San Antonio has. You don't, and then the Jonas Valanciunas trade makes literally zero sense whatsoever. I don't understand where he plays. I don't know what minutes you're going to give him. It's a bad few days for the Sacramento Kings in that front office. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Like anything that they did this week.
It's not a great ownership or a great front office to begin with.
I mean, you fire your head coach, you fire Mike Brown. I mean, Sacramento was a lot of fun a couple of years ago where we were lighting the beam and having a good time. And now they're an absolute trade wreck.
And they were a young up and coming team, David. Now they've gotten much older. Right, you add Zach LaVine, you add DeMar DeRozan, you get rid of De'Aaron Fox, you get rid of Kevin Huerter. I mean, you get rid of some of your younger pieces for older guys. So what are you trying to say here? Do you think this collection of guys can actually compete in the Western Conference? I don't think so. I mean, I think these guys lack shooting still. I know Keegan Murray can shoot the basketball. I know, some other guy, obviously Malik Monk and Zach LaVine, they add him, but
you don't have a true point guard to really run this. Like I just the Jonas Valanciunas trade makes little. I don't like. I know they didn't have to give up much to get him, but it just doesn't make sense adding him to your team. Like
I want to say a loser today, and it was the Chicago Bulls in my opinion, because we didn't even make. We're still in the same direction now. We got rid of that Levine. We obviously weren't going to re-sign DeMar DeRozan. Look, we're still in the same direction of we're still trying to be slightly competitive, but we don't have a direction on where we want to go. We should have got rid of Vooch. I don't care what you got for him, just get rid of him. Obviously, look, I heard AK is a stubborn guy, and he's obviously holding on to the jewels. He's like, man, it just we had him for 5 years. We haven't done anything. I can't fathom the fact that I'm not going to get anything for Nikola Vucevic, so I must keep him. That's what AK is thinking right now, and that's what he did. He kept Vucevic, and the guy that had the most trade value, we kept him too, and Kobe White. I feel like we need to pick a direction. I feel like this draft that's coming up, we have guys in the top 5 that are going to be franchise hitters. Guys that are going to change your franchise, in my opinion, especially the top 3 picks. And so I feel like we needed to change our direction in terms of pivoting to probably tanking a little bit to kind of get those ping pong balls floating in our direction, because we have too many of the same guys. I mean, yeah, Kobe White and Josh Giddey, they haven't really been playing. They don't look right on the floor together, right, TJ? If you watched some Bulls games this year, they don't look right together. So why are we keeping these guys? We just re-signed Lonzo Ball for 2 years, right? I mean, you still got Matas Bucelis on the floor. You signed freaking Patrick Williams for, I don't know, what was it, $90 million?
Yeah.
Like, come on. What are we doing here? Losers. You have to get rid of Vucevic. You got to try and trade Kobe White. You got to pick a freaking direction on where we want to go. But no, this is AK being stubborn. This is Jerry saying, I still want butts to come in the seats because we want to remain competitive. We're going to reel you in, just so I can still make top dollar on my basketball team.
I think the thing that
fucking frustrating.
I mean, TJ talks about this all the time. In order for you to make a trade, somebody has to be willing to trade with you. And sure, you can. It's easy to say to say the Bulls are losers, but you talked about this. Zach doesn't have a lot, or Vucevic doesn't have a lot of value in the open market. Like, I know TJ like a double guy, but like people don't want to trade legitimate assets for a player of Vucevic's caliber.
I know that's why I said we're not going to get anything. We're not going to get crazy assets for him. That's why AK kept him.
We shouldn't just dump his salary just to move him off the team. Like that doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah, absolutely, we should. If it's going to give us an opportunity to try and get Cooper Flag,
I mean, they could just waive Vucevic if they really wanted to. Like,
well, they're not going to do that, so whatever.
I'm going to swing into another loser. I'm going to go.
It's the equivalent of doing what you said. Just move them. Like just and move them for what? Like I've said it for years, and like, hey. You, in order to trade somebody has to want what you have.
No, I stole TJ's phrase.
Somebody has you can field calls all you want. You can feel like you can take flyers, you can do all that stuff. But it's on both fronts. If AKA I'm calling about Kobe White, what would it take for you? Like, what would you want for Kobe White? And if I don't like it, I'm not taking it. That should be looked at as perfectly fine. That should be looked at as like, you know what? Okay, that's respectable.
I think amongst fans like me, I don't think it's perfectly fine, TJ, because I've been waiting for these damn Chicago Bulls to start tanking. We're completely in just the middle of the pack team that's only going to make the NBA play-in. We're not a serious contender. So why do we continue to keep going down this path when we can go hit the reset button and go get a franchise player at the top of the draft? I'm sick of this stuff, man. And it's crazy. Let's pick a lane.
And here's where here lies the problem, because when they put the original team together, DeMar, Vooch, and Levine, was met with animosity, and then they got out to a good start. Then it was, let's trade these guys. Their value was never going to be higher. And everybody's like, why the hell will we trade these guys and we're first in the East? What sense does that make?
to my first loser or second loser, I got the Phoenix Suns as a loser. I don't understand the Nurkic trade. I don't understand, like, I know they can't really, they're kind of hamstrung by this Bradley Beal contract, but the reporting out of Phoenix is not good right now. Like the toxic environment and just the way, the culture of that team right now. If you're the Suns, I think you needed to hit like a reset button. I think you needed to try to move Kevin Durant. I don't know where you could have traded him or what you could have gotten for him. Just standing pat and trading away Nurkic for pennies on the dollar, let's be real, doesn't make a whole lot of sense. When this is a team that's in the second apron, you can improve it by, with buyout players. You don't really have draft capital. And you traded away a first-round pick in order to trade Nurkic away. They're a loser. They can't. There's nowhere else to say it than they're a loser.
Yeah, and Kevin Durant is apparently irritated because like the notion of like, oh, we're trying to trade him, and then like Kevin Durant's like ain't nobody say shit to me. like this is news to me.
Right.
TJ, you got a loser?
Do I have a loser? Yeah, Toronto. Because again, what's the plan? Like what's the plan here? Yeah, mostly them. Like again, it's like why bad. It's a perfect example of why bad teams stay bad.
I got two others. I got the Dallas Mavericks for obvious reasons. I don't really think I need to necessarily get into.
I ain't gonna call the Mavericks a loser. I'm gonna call Nico Harrison a loser.
Okay, sure. their GM, big loser. I think basketball wise, I also think not a great look. And I got the Warriors as a loser. I'm not sure Jimmy Butler is going to be saving the Warriors. Like they gave up, he's going to get paid $60 million a year for the next 2 seasons. That's a lot of money for a guy who's going to be 36 and 37 years old, and it's also shown that like he can like just flake out on you in like literally a moment's notice.
Stephen A. Smith said like they're no better today than they were yesterday.
No, they're not.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not totally sure. I'm not totally sold that Jimmy Butler is better than Andrew Wiggins, and they got rid of other players on this roster that were contributing. So it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Anybody else have any other losers?
Nope.
Let's switch into individual trades. Let's talk about best value. And TJ, I'll let you have the floor first. What do you got the best value from this this trade deadline? It doesn't have to be today.
Loki, I think the best value is probably it's 2. I think it's definitely De'Aaron Fox to San Antonio because that's going to be your duo for the next decade, hopefully. And low-key, that DeAndre Hunter to Cleveland trade is sneaky because I said something yesterday about how they like 40-10 or whatever, and they didn't make a move because we see teams like that all the time. They be like, hey, we're gonna stand pack, we're good, we're just gonna rival what we got and see what happens. That's a perfect example of like, hey, no, I'm not satisfied. We need just a little bit more to get us over the hump. We need another body to throw at a Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown. We need a bigger body to throw on Jalen Brunson when he cooking just to slow him down. We need so on and so forth.
Izzy, you got a best value?
Man, you know what? I'm pretty much gonna go with like that De'Aaron Fox.
No, you got to
trade.
I know. TJ stole mine too. I'm going with that De'Aaron Fox trade.
That De'Aaron Fox trade
it is a home run for the San Antonio Spurs. Like it's unreal to like get a player of De'Aaron Fox's caliber and give up that little. Like it's unreal. It's unbelievable.
I mean, I guess also, I want to say like because I mean Sacramento did well to get Zach LaVine. Obviously, they traded De'Aaron Fox, but they gave up the Bulls, first round pick or nothing like. I don't know, man. I just don't. That's like the biggest value in my opinion is De'Aaron Fox going over to. I mean, I would say DeAndre Hunter going to the Cavs too for Karis LeVert and Georges Niang. I mean, you're talking about a bona fide 20-point scorer, one of the best defenders in the league. He's a 3-and-D guy. He's going to help the Cavs immediately in the starting lineup. He fits in perfectly next to Darius and Garland and what's his name?
Donovan
Mitchell, yeah, and all those other guys. So, dude, I'd be losing my mind sometimes with all these names. But yeah, I think that's a good value trade as well. And then also, I mean, can I talk about a trade that I want to say that I don't know if it's coming up, but that trade for Reggie Jackson, where
I haven't seen that.
Where the Sixers got 4 second-round picks, like. What is going on here, bro? We're just giving away 4 second-round picks for a guy that.
Well, the Wizards are like, they became a dumping ground for the players that nobody wanted, and they got 2 first-round picks out of it.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like, anyway, so swinging to the other side of the coin, let's talk about worst value. I'm going first. It's the Mark Williams trade, and I know TJ said likes the trade, and it does fill a need, but that's a lot to give up for a guy who's. He also had problems staying healthy through the first part of his career. You give up basically 2 first-round picks, including a 2031 unprotected, which could be extremely valuable, and a 2030 pick swap. That's a lot to give up for Mark Williams. That's terrible value.
Worst value. I don't know. It's I would hate to say Zach LaVine to Sacramento, because it's like I'll never call somebody who can give you 20, 25 to 30 a game worst bad value. I'm never gonna do that. The BI to Toronto, like, again, what's the plan? What are we doing? What's the plan?
Yeah, they didn't give up. They gave up.
2026
first rounder, a second rounder for BI. I like it for Toronto. I mean, in a way,
it's Indiana's pick though, so it really probably is like, not that valuable.
I think Toronto, what Toronto's doing right now with BI, obviously BI can play the point guard. So obviously BI can play point guard. He was doing that a lot in New Orleans. So I think they're gonna roll. Obviously they're gonna roll the lineup out with him and Scotty Barnes and RJ Barrett, and he's gonna pretty much be the main ball handler. He's gonna be a 6'11" point guard. You know what I mean? Like,
recipe for disaster. Who do you got as your worst value?
Who?
Does he go with his worst value?
I already went. Yeah, I already went.
Moving on to shocking trade. TJ, shocking trade.
I mean, it's the first one. It's Luka to LA for AD. Like, no one saw that coming. No, like, everybody's just sitting here.
It's like Jey Uso winning the Rumble.
Everybody's just sitting here waiting around for the.
People sitting there waiting for Jimmy Butler domino to fall, and all of a sudden, Luka Doncic's just getting traded to the Lakers.
Traded to the Lakers. And it's just like, wait, what? Like, anytime you think like the main guy for ESPN's account is hacked, that's some shit right there.
I got that as my most shocking trade too. It might be, as we talked about on Sunday, it might be the most shocking trade of all time.
Yeah,
like, it's got to be in that conversation. Is he got any other shocking trades?
I think he's taking care of some stuff right now.
For sure. From there, let's talk about head scratching. And for me personally, it's all things Toronto. And I know I kind of just talked about it a little bit. That kind of justified the Brandon Ingram trade. I don't get it. I don't understand trading for PJ Tucker as well, giving up some stuff to get PJ Tucker. They're probably going to buy him out, but it still doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And I get the kind of idea and principle. Like, you bring Brandon Ingram in, maybe he really enjoys being in Toronto, and you're able to get him pretty cheap. I mean, it's really just a kind of not that great first round pick, along with 2 expiring contracts. And if Brandon Ingram re-signs with the Raptors, I mean, it's a home run. I mean, if he doesn't re-sign, it doesn't look that good. But it's the things Toronto's did completely head scratching. I don't get any of it.
You're not alone. Like, it's you're not alone. It's just head scratching. Yeah, like the Marcus Smart trade. I mean, I understand he wasn't playing, but I guess he's a buyout person too. Like I
Oh,
think,
I mean, all of those guys that ended up on the Wizards are probably going to be some sort of buyout. Like, Middleton, I don't expect to play on that team. I don't expect Marcus Smart to be on that team for very long. Like, whatever they got for Jonas Valanciunas, I bet they're going to buy out. Yeah.
yeah, that I think that one for me. Not Valanciunas. The Nurkic trade is
That's so fan.
like it's a mess. But
Yeah, to attach a first round pick in order to get rid of Yusuf Nurkic, which makes literally no sense. And Kobe Martin and Midic don't really move the needle for the Phoenix Suns.
So just to bring it back to the Bulls, like that's what people wanted AK to do.
Yeah.
Like that's what people wanted. Like everybody wanted these guys going off the Bulls. Like he's like, I'm not trading away future assets to help y'all. No, I'm not doing that.
To the final category, let's talk about most impactful, and I'm going to talk about the two wings that were on the move here today. Let's first start with DeAndre Hunter going to the Cleveland Cavaliers. I think he's going to have a major impact on the Cleveland Cavaliers this upcoming season, especially in the playoffs. And I really like Bogdan Bogdanovic going to the Clippers. I think that's a super underrated move. Yeah.
Super underrated move.
I think those two guys are going to be super impactful on their new team. So.
Yeah, and then Bogey's gonna get.
I think Bogey might start, but
no, because you got Norman Powell is
I know, but I mean they traded away Bones Highland, they traded away Terrence Mann. I mean,
those guys haven't really gotten too much tick.
I want to know what the stigma is around Bones Highland because like why doesn't
I know, right? He's been. I mean, KPJ was getting some tick off the bench too. They got rid of him as well.
Yeah. So add more Sean Bochan. So
get you a young guy. But I mean, the Clippers are if they, like I said, man, if they could keep if Kawhi could stay healthy, I mean that team, is I honestly think that's gonna be my favorite out of the West. I think they can beat OKC with what they have right now.
I mean, only if Kawhi Leonard stays healthy, and that's a huge.
Only if Kawhi Leonard stays healthy, exactly.
All right, gentlemen, who do you got as your most impactful players for the remainder of the season? What trade is going to be most impactful?
I'm going to say, you know what? I actually like the Kyle Kuzma to Milwaukee. In my opinion, just because of the fact that Chris Middleton was kind of limited on minutes. He was like a shell of himself type of player. You got Kyle Kuzma, plug him right into Milwaukee starting lineup. He's gonna, make an impact right away. He's a champion. Obviously Middleton and those guys. Middleton was a champion too, but you still add championship pedigree to the starting lineup. He's a guy that's unselfish. He's played with LeBron. He's played with AD before. He can take a backseat to Damian Lillard and Giannis Antetokounmpo and still be a valuable piece to the starting lineup. So I like Kyle Kuzma going to the Bucks. That's a big one for me.
TJ.
Yeah.
Most impactful I gotta see what he do when he get back, but like I can't wait to see what Anthony Davis, the impact he gonna have for Dallas. Like that's gonna be be crucial.
Yeah. So this has been our 2025 NBA trade deadline recap special. Thank you very much for everyone who hung out with us here at the podcast. We currently have 11 people watching us. We appreciate those kind of numbers. I'm David Huffman, right there, Israel Rivera and TJ Hopkins. Please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. We are Prime Sports World. And gentlemen, what do we do here at the Prime, my friends?
Bring the heat, baby. Bring the heat.
Yeet. Let's go. Bring the heat. You're still excited about Jey Uso. Let's go. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll be back here on Monday. We're going to break down Super Bowl 59. You don't want to miss any of that content. You guys all take it easy and be safe out there and have a fun Super Bowl. Enjoy yourselves out there, but not too much, as he pointed out yesterday. And now just a quick message from our sponsor here at the Huddle Sports Network. See you guys later. Y'all have a good night.
Yes, sir.
Welcome to the Huddle Sports Network, where we're breaking boundaries and redefining podcasting. Broadcasting live on 6 different platforms, we're bringing you the latest in sports like never before. Imagine tuning in to real-time discussions, expert analyses, and fan interactions all at your fingertips. Each platform offers a unique experience, whether you're on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitch. We're not just sharing stories, we're creating a community of passionate sports enthusiasts. Join us as we dive deep into the evolution of podcasting, where every episode is a chance to engage, debate, and celebrate the world of sports. This is where your voice matters and the game never stops. Welcome to the Huddle Sports Network, where we're breaking boundaries and redefining podcasting. Broadcasting live on 6 different platforms, we're bringing you the latest in sports like never before, where sports passion meets podcasting brilliance. I'm Mike, the Bear fan, and alongside Bill, the Packer fan, and our buddy Ken Catalone, we're bringing you an incredible lineup of 38 diverse podcasters. Each one brings their unique flavor to the table, covering everything from game analysis to behind-the-scenes stories. Imagine diving deep into the minds of experts who live and breathe football, sharing insights that you won't find anywhere else.